Cellar. You may notice I've come up a little in the world. I have a new chair. So we're working on that to see where it puts me in the best. Okay, let's see. Shall we start? Funny you should mention the Geas falling out of favor. Recently, my players ran afoul of a coven of hags. And while it could have been a TPK, there are so many more interesting things to do to a character than simply enter their story by killing them. The hags set a Geas on the PCs and have set them a rather unsavory errand to complete. So many more fun story possibilities opened up from not killing them. And now there was another one down a second. Funny enough about Geas. The current product, RPG product I'm writing on is called Geas, not because players are forced against their will, because it's about a play on being on a quest, which is what the game's all about. While working on it, I found out it's actually pronounced Gesh. Blame the Irish. Yeah, well, there's a lot of things that are actually pronounced, or they're supposed to be pronounced. And if I went around saying, okay, I'm going to lay a Gesh on you, I think in many cases when a word is routinely pronounced a certain way, whether it's mispronounced or not, you're better off just going that way. Now, Geas, or Gesh. I think part of the reason they went out was during a period of time when everybody was terribly concerned about railroading. A railroad adventure where you have no options, no chance to go left, go right, whatever, you just follow the adventure. Now, there is that aspect of a guess. You have to go do those things. Now, we never used them as go do it now. But you had to accomplish it, and as long as what you were doing now was reasonably explanatory of working toward the Geas, you got away with it. But it was always there. It was always hanging over you. It was a behavior you always had to do, or a goal you always had to seek. And again, I think part of that became unpopular with the concept of railroad adventures. Well, to be honest, I've never seen railroad adventures like some of the later edition ones where you can't kill some swine when you come across him and he does you dirty because he's got to be there alive later on. I mean, come on. Anything that handicaps the DM's hands, anything that ties his hands is not to be embraced, in my opinion. And yeah, it can be a big XP winner. The player shouldn't bitch about it. Here it is, something forced upon them that's going to, serve them well in the long run. Thanks so much for answering my questions regarding burning hands and your version of Magic Missile. I made the association based on the incendiary property, no save, and the low damage caused by both spells. But apparently they're just superficial similarities. It's nice to get a definitive answer. Well, again, I can only tell you what it was up until the time that I left. I mean, what people did, what was done after I left, some of that stupidity and idiocy, I have nothing whatsoever to do with. Okay, this is a long comment. Number 1, too bad about your trip. Yep, you're right. You're going to talk more about that at the end. Deathless Bob sounds like a great addition to any table. He was. He just came to play, have a good time, contribute to the common wheel, You can't ask for a better player. Tom Wallen will forever be known to me as the Iron Dragon himself. He autographed mine. Now, Tom's just a great dude. I'm pleased to have met him while we were both in college, and I was pleased to facilitate his getting together with Gary and coming to work for us. I loved it. I mean, and I say coming to work for us because once you got there with us, then you worked with us. You didn't work for us. We were at that point in time. We were still a pretty merry band of brothers. The lines between boss and peon were often very blurry. I know I am in the minority. This same person. I know I'm in the minority, but I've never seen or read any of the Dune material. Well, I read the first book when it came out, and I might have read the second one or part of the second one and gave up. But no, the Dune universe didn't thrill me all that much. I didn't find it all that intriguing. D&D 2.5 Skills and Power Area was the first to introduce monsters as a PC option, I think. I remember looking forward to that, but it has given us Dragonborn, Tieflings, etc., which I shy away from nowadays. Yes, I know. That's that taking the lid off the pot, opening the box, whatever it is, and once it gets out, yeah. Dragonborn is the stupidest player character class ever invented that a DM allowed in his game. Give me a break. Catfighting is an excellent way to describe that phenomenon that you mentioned. Well, I'm not sure which phenomenon that was. Number 7, I wonder how many great DMs could be found from those very familiar with older Chinese cultures. So many fantasy tales to draw from. Isn't that so? And it's why TSR we tried to skip around onto different cultural heritages, cultural stories. I'm not saying that they did. We didn't do that while I was there, okay. But they tried. Their Oriental Adventures was full of poor taste stereotypes, but at the time it was an attempt. Some of the other stuff they did, they were attempting. Gods, Demigods, and Heroes was an attempt to expand the horizon and the periphery of the DMs of the time to show them other options and other things to do, and also to confound the players. I'm sure you've read, played, experienced lots of different campaign worlds for D&D, both homebrew and published. What are some of your favorites and why? Well, no, I haven't really. The world that we play tested in was Greyhawk peripherally, and so the Greyhawk, what's the word I'm looking for? The Greyhawk Concords or whatever were in effect. I don't know. I really enjoy playing more than my own. I know you're a fan of the newest Age of Wonders. Just curious, what other PC TBS games, turn-based strategy, have you enjoyed over the years, if any? Did you ever take a look at any of the PC RPGs that are based on newer editions of D&D or any PC RPGs in general? Well, as a matter of fact, hang on. I'm going to cover this up. What have I played? Age of Wonders, yep. Crusader Kings. I'm looking at my Steam account here. Scythe. Oh, I played the heck out of Scythe. Civ, of course, civilization. Um, those are the ones that I really enjoyed the most. Um, I used to, there were others that I played back in the day when things were blockier and there were fewer pixels, and you know. But I've played through the Age of Wonders through all four iterations, and it's changed each time. I won't I won't say it's a different game, but it is almost each time. And now there's another one coming out, a new expansion coming out that I'm excited about. So, yeah, go figure. Um, I'm currently working on my homebrew setting for a club game and I'm kicking off in April. I got into a bit of discussion on world building and cultures against the modern discourse on cultural appropriation. I said it's almost impossible to create something that isn't similar to real world stuff, as all real world cultures are a product of the environment. For instance, Mongolia is so big people took up horses to get around. You're right, but also Mongolia had wild horses to domesticate. North America didn't. They had to wait for the Spanish horses to get loose and propagate. Um, People who live on islands are bound to take up sailing. Yep, that's a good point. Do you have any wisdom to add on this? Also, I read that article on cancel behavior in gaming. When also add in my brief time, I've seen a lot of it, and also somewhat believe there's also an element of competition with people who want to be big names in the community, and so they go after each other. Finally, sorry about your trip. I was looking forward to really hearing about it. And I believe I was really well. We were looking forward to telling all about it. Yeah, there's a competition on who can scrag the other guy the most. So uh, it, it's just one of those. Mine's bigger than yours contests, or I can peek farther than you contests, so we can get everybody involved in it. Um, it's terrible. Um, the thing about cultural appropriation, it is a sticky ground to walk on. All right, I admit that immediately, but no ground need be sticky if the group agrees in advance on what the parameters are. Who's going to get their panties in a wad if this is said? Who's going to get their feelings hurt if that is done? And I would think most experienced DMs do some sort of sounding out before they start a new campaign. Now, when you add in new players to existing campaigns, well, yeah, sometimes that stuff happens. But when they're okay and cool with everything going down, just like the rest of the group is, well, hey, you found a keeper. Or if a person is just so much fun, but a little quirky, well, you may decide to keep them anyway and make accommodations to their quirks. Um, Cultural appropriation, I feel, is more like white women trying to dress as Native Americans or First Nations for those in Canada. Um, Fashion is such a amorphous, ever-changing thing. Cultural appropriation, I don't I don't think there's a lot of problem with that if the DM is just intelligent, on the ball, and sensitive to the feelings. Um, it doesn't, I mean, is it cultural appropriation to play a caveman game where you're all running around and itching and scratching and wearing stinking furs? Or even well tanned furs, I don't care. Are we appropriating the culture of Cro-Magnon man? I know that's an extreme, but um, everybody's got a different definition of cultural appropriation. I used to be a teacher, high school teacher. I hate Black History Month. Not because it's black, because they only devote 1 month of teaching the history of a distinct proportion of our population when they should be teaching it, blending it in all year round. I hate it when I keep seeing the same information that I already know. Of course, I was a teacher. About, things on little infomercials that they have every so often on all the channels. Did white people culturally appropriate rap music? I don't know. Cultural appropriation is like a minefield in a bog. You're looking for the solid ground, stepping between the watery holes and hoping that you don't step on a mine. And where the mines are, who knows today? Tomorrow the mines will be somewhere else. If you're reasonably sensitive, if you sound out your group, have a pizza and Pepsi session before it starts, and find out where people are at. Easy peasy. Okay, I see a lot of people say that old school wizards were overpowered at super high levels. Is that true? It looks to me they have such low hit point that they can die from dragon breath in 1 round of combat. They can. Let's test that. And again, all right, what's a super high level? When I was playing, 12th level was the Archangel Michael damn near. All right. Going back to my OD&D books here. And I don't mean to be rude. I'm trying to remember. Okay. That would be in Greyhawk, I'm betting. What were the spells that a wizard? Because this is where we jack stuff up. Greyhawk boosted everything. That's Blackmore, so this is Greyhawk here. When we got to 9th, 10th, 11th level, we retired. We retired the character. They went into the campaign in that they got their land, or they built their tower, or whatever was culturally appropriate, and they retired. So we thought that 12th level was ultra high level because it really wasn't that much fun to play anymore. So let's see what a 12th level could play back in Greyhawk. Sorry, I didn't even think about doing this earlier, or I wouldn't have bored you with it. Got to figure out what page it's on. Ah, here we go. A wizard. All right, let's go to wizard. All right, we'll say wizard 14. Okay, that's 2 above where it went in the original game. They had spells 5/5/5, 4/4, 3/1. Now, yes, the wizard has access to really big, potent spells. However, the really big, potent ones are the 3 and the 1, the 6 and the 7th. So, Yes, if you made it to that level, you were one tough dude. Or dudette, as the case may be. Are they overpowered? No. Because I don't care if you're 14th level, I still want to see you go in and take on a dragon. When you can go take on a dragon by yourself and kill it, you're overpowered, in my opinion. You might as well be playing superheroes. Come on. If you've seen Game of Thrones and you saw her dragons toast the Lannister army, come on. Really? All right. And yeah, the fact that they were running around with just a handful of hit points for a couple of 3 levels, they have to be lucky, they have to be skillful, they have to be in really good with the rest of the party. If you're a dick and it gets tight, well, you're the dick's always the one that gets sacrificed so that the rest can go. So, there was a big consideration there about don't be a dick or you won't make 3rd level. I don't think they were overpowered because, personally, I don't think Gary or Rob or Jim or Ernie or anybody up there, while the time I was up there, had a wizard higher than 14th level. If they did, it must have been one of Gary's or Ernie's that had been playing since the game was conceived, because it just took way too many experience points to get there. And once you did get there, you didn't just go out trekking about on low-level minor league stuff, because you could still die. Everybody, remember this, everybody in AD&D First Edition or in OD&D, everybody could die just like that. Everybody. So, you didn't go out on stupid errands to the grocery store where you might risk running afoul and getting a poison arrow from a pixie and failing your saving throw or something equally ludicrous like that. No way to die. One of those type of things, No way to die. I'm filling up my vape here. I don't know why I feel like I ought to do things tonight while I'm talking to you. Just got these busy fingers. Okay, this individual goes on to say, I only ever play fighters and warriors in most RPGs and in every edition of D&D. In 5e, the fighters tend to be weaker than spellcasters until you get a good set of magic items. Then you start chopping heads everywhere and slam-dunking dragons to oblivion. Well, if that's the case, and I'm using your characterizations, if that's the case, it's ridiculous. You shouldn't be all-powerful Oz just because you happen to stumble behind the curtain and figure out what the lever did. A single hauberk of +1 chainmail ought to be worth a great deal to a low-level character. You go from trying to stop swords and spears from piercing you and leaking out your precious bodily fluids, leather, wow, now you got mail. Or if not mail, splint, or something scale, something of that nature that's now going to protect your little pokey body and not let your precious bodily fluids out so easily. You know, I've looked online and seen these fifth level characters with power. It's a damn equivalent of a power suit, for Christ's sake. Okay, that's your bag, not mine. I always thought Dune was a fantasy story because it dealt with a religion so much in modern society where religion seems to take a back seat. As a side note, how important is religion for D&D clerics? All right, here's an area where I've always been a little squeamish. All right, I didn't have any problems researching pantheons of historical, different historical religions. I was raised Catholic. I was an altar boy for years and years. And I'm still a little squeamish about delving into the ecclesiastical side of the game. Now, if you're a cleric and you're playing my thing, and you say your patron is Babo, and you know what Babo does and whatever, I'm fine with that. I don't like skirting around real past religions. I don't mean to offend anyone. And so I've always kind of glossed over clerics and their deities. They had one. Okay, I didn't care what they were called. They had an alignment. And clerics were punished for violating their alignment by their patron deities or other deities who saw a chance to get back at their patron. So, yes, as a DM, you ought to make your clerics by some point, you can set it arbitrarily, declare, declare for a deity. Make up a deity. I don't care. If they're going to take a historical one, you need to read up on them so they can start making claims that you can't refute. And let's face it, that's a known habit of D&D players is to stretch, pull, and tug to find an example of a dodge. You get into the religion as comfortable as you and your group are. If you've got a group of basically agnostics, then the only, statistically improbable, say you get 7 people in your group and they're all agnostic. They all came from a different background getting to be there, but they're all agnostic. Well, this is one of those things that you need to sound out your players. How do you feel? All right. One of my greatest fun challenges one time was a game I was running in a friend's basement out west from where I live. And they were used to playing chaotic evil characters, and I didn't let them. I gave them pre-gens, and one of which was a paladin, and I had to remind the paladin that paladin behavior did not include gouging out the eyes of baby orcs to find out where the treasure was. So there, I made him adhere to his precepts without acknowledging a single deity devotional. Again, religion is such a personal thing that some people are hinky about getting involved in games. Other people are fine. You've got to talk to your group about it. You've got to see where they're at. You have to see how comfortable or uncomfortable they become. And it's not to say that you can't have fun with it. declare that you're a vicar of the Church of Saint Snood, and that happens to be one of Tom Lom's weirder concoctions. But you can have fun with it too and justify doing silly, stupid things if it's part of the doctrine of your religion or your focus. So many things are dependent upon the chemistry of the group. That's why, one of the reasons why, as a DM, you have to tread so lightly in the first hour of a game at a con until you find out by judicious watching of faces as things happen who's likely or unlikely to be offended by something. And I don't just mean sexist or racist stuff. If you're going to go have them, have their party interrupted by an archangel, well, you got to be prepared for the fact that somebody in the party doesn't believe in that shit. Party composition is having a good party that interact well and complement each other is one thing. But you, as a DM, are required to know where their strengths and weaknesses lie in their philosophies, in their ethos. Okay, round 2. The Casks versus Allegiant Airlines. Now, if you'll recall, after our aborted abomination of a non-trip, we were told we'd get $400 refund for each of our tickets, $200 as a thank you, sorry we screwed you up, and $150 voucher that we could only use with Allegiant. Well, were we stupid for believing that? We didn't get the $800 for the 2 tickets. I'm guessing, well, we got exactly what we paid for the tickets. Now, that's not a screw over or anything, but it's not what we were told in the airport to prevent a riot from breaking out. Well, at least a bunch of angry muttering. And anyway, we got our ticket money back. Why? Because we bought through an agency. Who the hell doesn't buy tickets through an agency of some sort? Come on. Nobody goes to United Airlines online and buys their own ticket and pays full price. They're an idiot if they do. There's always a deal. So there's screw job number 1. Route $200 and some that we were told we were getting. Now, the $100 each as a sorry we screwed your life over, we got $50 between us so far. We're going to go fight for some more. And, well, no, we didn't get any of that. That's right, none of that. We got a $50 voucher to be used with Allegiant in another time, at a later date. Excuse me, Allegiant, but you guys really, really, really suck. Now, my wife and I are going to continue this battle against them to get everything that we were promised. I don't hold out for a conclusion that we'll be happy with, but we'll see. All right, that's all I got. Con season's coming up. Some cons, there have already been a few cons already since 24 opened. I used to go to Total Con. That was in, I think, February, and I don't go there anymore. I'll be going to Gary Con in March. I'll be going to Battle Creek, Michigan in, I think it's July. I haven't been asked yet, but I don't believe I'll be going to Gamehole Con again. I had such an unpleasant experience at the last Gamehole Con I went to. Was such a jerk on my last event on Saturday night that I still have a sour taste in my mouth. And I think that might have just done it. In the meantime, Dodata Govi. Hello, and welcome to my cellar.
He's the curmudgeon who wrote about the dungeons. Now he's the feller, live from the cellar. Talks about D&D and old school RPGs. Still quite a feller, the curmudgeon in the cellar. Last man around when them rates went down. Called in Gary in that Lake Geneva town. Hey Gary, it's an awful mess. Let me edit, we'll have success. D&D and Dragon Magazine. He's the curmudgeon who wrote about the dungeons. Now he's the feller, live from the cellar. Talks about D&D and old school RPGs, but he's still quite the feller, the curmudgeon in the cellar. Magic missile, it's a mortar shell. Make it hit in the first level spell. Brought psionics to the game to attack that wizard's brain. ESR and fantasy, collection of micro armory. Titan with tramp under a tree, high as could be. He's the curmudgeon who wrote about the dungeons. Now he's the feller, live from the cellar. Talks about D&D and old school RPGs, but he's still quite the feller, the curmudgeon in the cellar. Still quite the feller, the curmudgeon in the cellar. Curmudgeon.